Well, what a period of cold air it has been. I mean, that has been the story to me, and it doesn't look like it changes. In fact, it looks like it gets worse, which I absolutely don't want to do. The worst thing ever as a meteorologist is someone comes up to you, they're like, I got these plans. Is it going to snow? I'm like, yes, and I would change them, right? I mean, that's the worst thing to do. So, yeah, no, I don't like to be the bearer of bad news. The country's just about to take a hit. It's not just us. Kansas City, Little Rock, Nashville, everybody's going extremely well below average. That means, now the average at this time, if you look at the timing of this, February 17th to the 21st, what is the average? About 30 degrees. So your average high is now in the 30s because it's been climbing out of the basement, which is late January. And we're going to be about, highs at 5 for a while and lows at 10 to 15 below. It's very cold. It looks like February. We'll have to see where it stacks up in the history books, depending on how the month ends. But there's a solid 20-day window here with temperatures 20-plus below average, 20-plus degrees below average. Now, maybe this is no surprise to you, but when you push Arctic air to the south, it pushes the moisture down there as well. So it does look like snow lovers, you got a chance on Valentine's Day, which we are going to talk about in detail here. But it just looks like the better chance for precipitation over the long haul is going to be from Billings, Denver, Oklahoma City, and Little Rock. You're probably going to see another snowstorm down there next week at some point, and that's just because that what it's doing is it's shifting the jet stream to the south. When you lower in Arctic air, it shifts that jet stream south of you, and it does look like you're going to see a lot of high moisture. A La Nina period, it looks like, but Wisconsin's going to see a lot of snow this week. I mean, when you look at Madison, for example, when you look at Madison, Wisconsin, they had no snow. They might have 20 or 25 inches just in a week period here from a couple of days ago to next week. A lot of snow is going to fall to our south. Okay, let's talk about the low temperatures. This morning, -8. Not the coldest morning of the week. The coldest morning of the week was on Tuesday. Now, we had a cold weather advisory Tuesday and today, but to me, it was low end. You really want to start talking about 30, 40, 50 below zero for wind chills to get to that dangerous level. This is pretty much where we've been. How about Brainerd? Your low was -19. What was your low yesterday? -31 in Breezy Point. So just outside of Brainerd, we had -31. Technically not as cold today, which is embarrassing to say that -19 is not as cold as it was yesterday. Same with St. Cloud, 5 degrees warmer in St. Cloud. So we've been dealing with winds today. The winds might not be strong, and maybe you don't think much about a wind speed, because I didn't until I got into this mode where I have to nerd out completely. But a 5-mile-per-hour wind kept the temperatures, even if it's out of the north, they kept the temperatures in Brainerd 10 degrees warmer. What? A wind speed does what we call mixing. I don't care what direction it is. It mixes the atmosphere. It does not allow the temperature to bottom out. It'll hold the temperature up. So 17 below is all you could muster down. I was going to say muster up. Is because yesterday it truly bottomed out. There was not a speck of wind, and there was not a single cloud, and that is why temperatures got so cold. Now, the feels like temperature this morning still got down to 32, 24 below here in the cities. We got very close to getting into that cold weather advisory threshold. Look at some of these lows, though, this morning. -40 in Moorhead, -34 in Alexandria. These are wind chill. Low wind chills, -36 in Wilmer. So 20 to 40 below, depending on where you're at. Now, if you're in Duluth and up towards Bemidji, that is every day. So this would be just a normal day. They just could wake up there and be like, yep, normal day, bye, back to bed. For us, we haven't been as cold as Duluth, and here's why. The snow depth. Our snow depth is dramatically less south. I live down here in Carver County. We're like the one spot with no snow. South of us, there's more snow. North of us, there's more snow. There's a little gap with only 1 inch of snowpack on the ground. That includes Mankato, Wilmer, and Waconia. And Glencoe, Plato, areas like that, and Redwood Falls. That's the spot in the whole country pretty much with less snow. Going up to the North Shore, look at this. I mean, they've got 18 inches of snow on the ground. If you're traveling to the north, Brainerd's got 6 to 12. A lot of snow up there. This is anything in the blue is good snowmobiling trail stuff. So that's been at least a good sign for northern Minnesota. Also a big reason temperatures are so much colder up there because we've got such a significant snowpack, which lowers the temperatures. Sunshine is the name of the game. How do you know it's sunny? Well, how do you know you have Arctic high? with sunshine. If you have sunshine and it's 0, you're like, Arctic high. That's what's going on today. We'll be below 0 through noon. If you got kiddos, I don't think they're going to be going outside for recess today, which I have to remind myself because my kids didn't go out on Tuesday and they came home and they were insane. So I took them ice fishing. That didn't work because there's a tiny little box. And then I took them to the pool. That worked. But yeah, today's a day where you got to get creative when the kid's not burning off that energy. It's tough. 4 degrees in the afternoon. We will have winds, keeping the wind chills at around minus 10 degrees for your Thursday. Here's what high temperatures look like today across the region, 5 to 10. So single digits, maybe high single digits. At this point in the year, we're at the 13th of February. This is a significant cold day. If we had this exact air mass 3.5 weeks ago, the high would be minus 2. You're still able to warm up a little bit because the sun at this time of the year starts to really strengthen. We're adding 3 minutes of sunlight per day. We have very quiet conditions on the radar throughout the morning. Where's the next snowstorm? Well, it's out here. Toronto, northern parts of New York. That is what affected areas like Chicago and Omaha yesterday. Here comes the Arctic high. It's driving in that north wind behind the low. What you get with the low, you get this counterclockwise rotation, and then what's a high? You get a clockwise rotation. You ever see one of those football machines where you put it in there, funk, it goes? That's what this is here. It's funk, and you don't want to be in the funk. You don't want to be in that because that is the shot of cold air. That's how you get cold. They work together to drive down that Arctic air, and literally, and I'm not joking, the air mass, the particle, travels all the way down into northern Minnesota. Let's talk about what's going on in California. Look at all this snow out here, Tahoe, areas in Oregon. This is a sign of things to come for us. So this is a pretty big long wave trough pushing moisture onshore. Now this moisture has to come across the country. That moisture for us shows up on Friday. That low pressure center does. So that's going to be our Valentine's Day snow. It's not going to be the biggest snowstorm, not for us. I will tell you, Wisconsin could be another 4 to 6 incher, and we're looking at quite a bit of snow out there. Timing of this, it starts at 1 to 2 p.m. in the afternoon. You got to prepare for some light snow. If I'm watching in Menominee here, areas near Hastings, anything around here, you're going to see a lot more snow. And also, one other thing, there's a lot of dry and cold air in a snowstorm. You just don't see it. But the dry air comes from the north, and it always gets pulled in somewhere into the system. Typically, you want to be north of this area because the dry air doesn't make it there. So it's almost, this is the lifting mechanism. The cold air comes in, it lifts all the snow, and then it snows out ahead of it. But this cold air, we're kind of in the way here in the cities. What should you take away from this? There's some variables here. And a lot of times, just to be honest, you don't necessarily see the true dry slot until it's happening. But I like to give you an idea that there's going to be one, and what that will do is it'll eat away at the snow totals and around the central parts here, Willmar, St. Cloud, and the Twin Cities. We could still see an inch, but what I think that means is areas like western portions, Glencoe, Buffalo, Waconia, getting out here to Willmar, you might only get half an inch to an inch, and then you're going to see it go to like 2, and then 3, and then 4, and it's going to ramp up as you go into 94, into Wisconsin. 6:30, prepare for snow. I'm still preparing for snow, but I'm also preparing you for a dry slot, which would be very little snow. So that's something that we have to watch. Again, Rochester, La Crosse, Menominee. This triangle right here, it's getting snow, and it's going to get a lot of snow. Models agree it's going to be snow in there. Going to 1 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, already starting to see this clear out. Who's getting the snow still? That triangle that I talked about. This is the spot that's getting the bullseye. So I would just say, all right, there you go, bullseye. And then you can see us, we're on the outside looking in here. So let's talk about why I'm not that excited. Now, I know this says Sunday, but where can I find it? There it is, Sunday. This is just, I just scrolled it through the weekend. This is for Friday. Potential for 2 inches of snow. Blue is the GFS. White is the European. And what do you see here? Well, the blue is a giant blob of 2+ inches of snow. However, the GFS is not as good of a model as the European model. Also, long-range models can't see small variables like dry slots. Okay, so this model doesn't, if the model doesn't think there's a dry slot, they're gonna be like, great, snow, 4 or 5 inches. They don't see that, right? They're made to find snow. They're not made to find the dry slot. But I mean, we should do that, but we can't yet. So the European model there's overlap here in Brainerd and East Metro and then North Metro. The GFS is all over the state. So I have to be respectful and say there's a 10% chance that we get the GFS's 4 inches of snow. 10%. Snow, if you're just, I love it. We got a lot of time on this KARE 11 Plus stream. I love to teach as much as I can. I am just trying to give you the stats, and then I'm letting you take the gamble. Because I take a gamble, you take a gamble, that's all it is, right? My best thing I could do as a meteorologist is to find the percentages that I think can happen and then tell you about it. What I think is happening here with the GFS, you've got about a 10 or 15% chance of 4 inches of snow. It's possible. The Europeans got us at around 1 to 2. I would say there's an 80% chance that we land at 1 to 3 inches. 80%. And then I would give a 5% chance that we get 0. And because the system's coming overhead, there's a small chance that we get completely dry slotted out of this thing and we're out. What do I want to see? Well, I'd like to see the GFS, because the trends keep trending. So once the GFS chops and it starts moving east or chopping totals, it will just keep trending for me. I know that. But right now it's being stubborn and giving everybody 2 inches. So until it chops, and what I mean chop is cut back, until it cuts back, I'm just gonna wait and be patient instead of going for it. So again, what I think will happen is it will trend this way. I think it will probably trend a little bit east, and you'll probably start to see this area over here with a better chance for 3 or 4. And here's a better example of what I'm looking at. I like to put on all the models. You can see them back there. So the NAM is terrible. It's the worst model that we have. It's got 5.3, so you can just throw that one out. The GFS, I think it's still got to come in, but we know that that one's up here. So again, our in-house model's at 4. And then you could see the Euros at 1 to 2. I'm always going to go Euro when there's a lot of disagreement. But you have to obviously see there's a big gap here. I want the models to be within a 1-inch range to feel confident. So my confidence here is actually fairly low on totals. Just to be honest with you, I could see a scenario, like if I was just talking to you at Hy-Vee, I would say, yeah, I'd prepare for a few inches of snow. But I'd be honest with you, I think there's just as good a shot as 2 as there is 4. I don't have an inkling yet. Now I'm going to take you through a couple of models so you can look at it yourself and digest this and why I haven't gone with the totals map. Again, I haven't shown this on live TV. I'm showing it to you, but we're digesting this because we have enough time. So notice that this model, this is our in-house model. It does a pretty good job figuring out this dry slot. You can see it there in Mankato and Marshall. It does a pretty good job. I agree with this area. I do agree there's going to be less snow here. And then I also agree that bullseye, remember we were talking about that? Yeah, 3 to 5 inches down here. But what the model's trying to indicate is it's going to suck in some dry air. But you see there's 1 to 3 inches up here. This part up here could easily shift south or north. So if this all projects east, then the Twin Cities gets less. If it projects south, the Twin Cities gets more. That's why I like that 1 to 2, 1.5 to 2.5 is kind of where my head's at right now. It's what feels right. Okay, let's go. Is the next model going to work? What are we doing here? Hold on. We're not going to work for me here, huh? You going to freeze on me? Hold on. Okay, it froze. Let's go back to the HRRR. Is it going to work? Come on. Okay, that's not going to work. And this one will work. All right, so the HRRR didn't work, HRRR. It's a short-term model. It gave us 0. So my formula for forecasting is the HRRR, the HRRR, or RAP, which are 2 short-term models. They only go out 18 hours. Well, now they go out further, but again, overall they go out about 18 hours. These models are what we call long-range models, the GFS. They go out 300 hours. I want to see them come together. Well, one is at 0 and one is at 6. So, no, I don't feel confident at all. But I will tell you long-range models like this one, you see how it's blobbed out? Everybody's going to get 6 inches. We know that's not going to happen. So I'm waiting for the GFS to do something, trend to the short-term models, come together a little bit. What you need to take from this is that it's still up in the air. Tomorrow morning when I get on here, come back at the exact same time. I'll give you Johnny's exact forecast. But right now the forecast is a few inches of snow with a slight chance at going higher at 4 to 5, and maybe a little bit elevated chance of coming in a little bit lower at 1 to 2. Breezy Saturday, we're warm. Sunday, we go to 5, 12 below 0 on Monday. Looks very Arctic as we go into next week. Thanks for joining us here. We'll see you tomorrow.